Hey Natalie, how you doing? All right. So, just real quick, I decided to use a book as my exam at 8 different ways to use a book, focusing on just one object. It's a lot of fun to think of interesting ways the book can be used in the original form or torn apart. That's interesting. I think that's interesting, especially this one right here with the wallpaper tearing the books out of the pages. Really, really interesting stuff. I think some ideas are more creative than others, which is like your feedback on. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. As you know me by now, I don't like to specifically art direct. I give suggestions and the reasoning behind those suggestions, but if you noticed, I very rarely, if ever, say, you know what, follow this direction, because I want you to be able to decipher your strengths and the strengths associated with the examples that you've given and really think out the potential. And I think that's a really important step for a designer. So in that regard, I'm gonna suggest that you pick the direction that you feel has the most potential. But of course, let's go ahead and take a look. A sled, that's a good idea. Now, the whole idea here, then, what's going to make this a success is the way you set it up, okay? So the way you define this kind of problem, and then the aha moment, thinking of the solution, the aha moment, and then implementation. So we can see it. I want you to study these examples. These are from over here from week 4 Project Common Everyday Hand Tool Begin. And I really want you to study these. I've selected these not only for their illustrative quality, but also for their narrative quality. So note that each frame has a direct relationship with the frame before it and the frame after it. So there's nothing here that doesn't make sense. All falls in line with the linear narrative. We can see that in both of these, right? So you really want to think about an interesting way. So we've got an introduction. We've got a definition of the problem. We've got exploration of the solution. We've got the aha moment. We've got implementation, and then we've got basically the outcome or the epilogue, right? So think about that. It's really important that you think about the linear narrative quality of this particular assignment. It's really, really important, Natalie. So I really want you to think about how you're going to tell the story. In addition and in conjunction to how you're going to illustrate the story as well. So this is a good one. Book as a sled. And that would work. That would totally work. I mean, when I was back in my my undergrad degree, we used to take cafeteria trays out of the cafeteria, and there was a big hill right in front of the gymnasium. And we used to take cafeterias and do this, stand on them. And boy, I got to tell you something, man, that was dangerous stuff, because those those things get going like, whoa, they are so fast. So that will totally work. I've seen this done too. I think one of your classmates had mentioned that they had seen this. So again, how do you set it up? How do you deliver it? How do you illustrate it? Book as a plate, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. A book as the ultimate spider killer. Sure. I can see the setup there. Definitely. Book as shoes. Yeah, I don't know. Not so much. Book as wallpaper. Yeah, that'll work. I'm just thinking about how you're going to set up that. How do we set up a problem of a wall not having a wallpaper? Did you see what I'm saying? As you can see, these are going to be easier to set up the narrative, right? And then when I say set up, I mean defining the problem and implementing the solution. Book as a pad bed, that's a good one too. And then elbow pads. Yeah, I guess. I'm not, I guess that would work. But again, I'm just thinking about setup. So really go through each one of your examples and say, okay, how can I set this up? Now, I recommend at least 10 to 12 frames in a linear narrative. So think about that. But I'm just going to say, really take a look at each one of these very deeply. Take a good intrinsic look at all of the 8 possibilities and say, okay, maybe it's a great idea, but it's going to be really difficult to set this up. So think about that and determine which is your most advantageous way to proceed. Plus, whatever you think might have the most potential, right? Have fun with this. This is a great assignment. It's a blast. You're going to love it, especially when you start seeing students submitting their linear narratives and we start really getting into the thick of things. It's one of my favorite assignments. So really great job. So any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you very much. Oh, and thanks for kicking things off, Natalie. That's not always the easiest thing to do. So I really appreciate you taking the plunge, so to speak, right? All right. Thanks, Natalie. Let me know if you have any questions. Great job. Thanks.